Today we are setting up Home Assistant on our Raspberry Pi 5. In this video, we're doing a full in-depth setup. We're going to cover everything from flashing our Raspberry Pi, setting up the software, installing Docker, Home Assistant. We're going to create some basic dashboards, automations. I'm going to show you how to theme Home Assistant as well. I'm expecting this video may be quite lengthy because I am going to go into a lot of detail. So I will put timestamps down below if you want to skip to the very relevant sections that you need. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to start by removing the micro SD card. I'm going to chuck it into this adapter and plug it into our laptop. We're going to quickly flash the Raspberry Pi operating system so that we're just there with a clean slate. To do this, we'll head over to their official website and we'll download the Raspberry Pi OS imager. Go ahead and open it up. Select your device. We are using the Raspberry Pi 5. We're going to go with the 64-bit Raspberry Pi OS. I'm choosing this option because I just want the vanilla installation. We are going to run Home Assistant within a Docker container, which I will run you through. However, you can opt to use the Home Assistant operating system if you wish. This is under Other Specific Purpose Operating Systems, Home Assistant, and this one right here. Personal preference, I might decide to use this Raspberry Pi for other things, and I also like running things in containers, which is why I am going with that default option. Go ahead and choose your storage media and hit Next. Click Edit Settings. Make sure you set a host name, username, password, and enter in your Wi-Fi credentials. Also, head over to Services. Make sure you have enabled SSH ticked and password authentication selected. This is really important because it's going to allow us to connect into our Raspberry Pi once it starts up. If you do not set these settings correctly, you won't be able to access your Raspberry Pi remotely, and you'll have to connect a keyboard, mouse, and monitor instead. Go ahead and hit Save. Yes, yes. That will take about 5 to 10 minutes to finish, so I'll see you guys in a little bit. And that is done. Go ahead and hit Continue. We'll take the SD card out, chuck it into our Raspberry Pi, and give it some power. Give it a minute to start up, then open up a terminal window. Type in SSH space, the username that we set earlier. For me, that was dolding @ and then type in the hostname. For me, that was home.local. Hit Enter, type yes, enter in the password that we had set. We've now remotely connected into our Raspberry Pi using SSH. We're going to enter in a command which will enable VNC, which is a way we can remotely access our Raspberry Pi using a graphical interface instead of using this command line. Type in sudo space raspi-config. Scroll down to Interface Options. Go down to VNC, and we want to make sure that is enabled. Hit OK. You can just escape out of that one, and we're going to exit out of our SSH session. Now, if you head over to Tiger VNC, this is a free piece of software you can download. Downloads are on the GitHub page, so if you click this link right here, here's your download link, or you've got all the different versions down below. Once you've successfully installed the app, go ahead and open it up. For the VNC server, you want to again enter in that hostname you set earlier. Hit yes, and type in that same username and password you had set. We are now remotely connected into our Raspberry Pi. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and install Docker. If we open up Internet Explorer, We're going to search for docker install Raspberry Pi. And we want to click the official documentation. We're using the 64-bit, so we want this Debian one. This is the URL you want. There are two sections of code we are going to need to copy and paste and run in our terminal window. The first command we need is to set up Docker's apt repository. We're going to go ahead and click that button there, open up a terminal window and paste the code in. Type Y for yes. This is going to allow us to install the required Docker packages in our next command. So step number 2, we want to install the Docker packages. Go ahead and click copy. Paste that in there. Y for yes. Once that is done, if we type sudo space docker help, if you get some kind of output, that means it's installed successfully. Personal preference, I don't like prefacing all of my Docker commands with sudo, so we're going to follow these optional steps. If we click on this link down here, we're going to set it up so we can run it as a non-root user. In plain English, this means we won't have to type sudo at the start of every single Docker command. According to the official documentation, there are 2 commands we need to run, this group add docker. Now I'm pretty sure this group already exists, but we're going to run it anyway. Yep, Docker group already exists. Now we're going to add our current user to that group. Go ahead and hit paste. We are going to have to log out and log back in for those changes to take effect. So if we go start menu, shut down, log out, log back in. Now if we open up a command prompt and type docker ps, our Docker commands work. Okay, now everything is set up. We have our fresh Raspberry Pi imaged, we have Docker installed and ready to go. The final step is to set up Home Assistant. There are 2 files I'm going to share with you. Now, I will put a link in the description down below to a public GitHub page with all of the code for you to just copy and paste to make life easy. There are essentially 2 files we are going to set up, a Docker Compose file and a Docker file. I'll run you through each line of code and exactly what they do. The first file we have is a Docker Compose file. This is going to specify exactly what happens to the container when we start it up. We're giving it a container name of Home Assistant. This line here tells it to build using the Docker file within the same location. Normally within a Docker Compose file, you specify which image you'd like to use, which is this commented out line here. Instead of doing this, we are building it using our Docker file from here. It's essentially doing the same thing. It's still pulling the official Docker image, but we have the additional ability to install any third-party packages and libraries that we want. For example, this library here is required if you want to use any kind of like speaker output on your Raspberry Pi. This is completely optional setup, but it makes life really easy later down the road if you decide to do custom Python scripts within your Home Assistant. It's a super advanced topic, we're not going to dive into it in this video, but this right here will just make life easier later on if you go down that rabbit hole. Heading back over to our Docker Compose file, we are setting some persistent volumes. With Docker, it spins up what they call a container. Think of it like a virtual environment. Now, when you stop or kill that container, you lose everything. By creating volumes, these are persistent data stores that will exist even if you stop or terminate your container. In English, this means if our container stops or restarts, we don't lose any of our config. It will just persist. There's a couple of volumes set. The first one, you will have to change this line. Mainly, you want to change this to match your username. This is going to map to a config folder within this directory. This next line will give us read-only access to local time. This is really important for logs, scheduling of automations. It's a required field to make sure that our times are all correct. These lines let us connect to Bluetooth, USB devices, and other things running on our Raspberry Pi. This line here is completely optional. On my Raspberry Pi, I have an external hard drive connected. You can get rid of these lines if you want. However, let me just quickly show you. If I head over to File Explorer, Expansion, this is my file path here. We can see it doesn't quite match up, so I'm just going to paste over it. If you're planning to use an external hard drive, this is important if you want Home Assistant to have access to it. The main use case I have found for this is whenever you want to report on metrics. So if you want to monitor your disk usage, you could potentially set up an automation to alert you when you have less than 10% disk free, as an example. That is why I've got this in here. These lines here are really important. It lets you discover other devices on your home network. And this section here, you'll notice we've got dev exposed anyway, but I found I had to specify this exact line in order to use what they call the Zigbee protocol. There's a USB dongle that you can buy, which allows you to discover devices using this protocol, but I found I needed to add this exact line in here before things would work. Okay, now that we've explained everything, it's time to set it up. We're going to go ahead and copy the contents of this file. Again, click the GitHub link in the description down below to get access to the source code. Open up our terminal window. We're going to type in mkdir space home assistant. This is going to create a new folder called Home Assistant. Here it is there, and we're going to navigate to that folder. So we'll type cd space home assistant. Now you can actually type in home, press tab, and it will autocomplete. We're then going to type nano space docker dash compose.yaml, and we're going to right click to paste the contents in that file, hit Control X to exit the file, and Y to save. We're going to do the same for our Docker file. Copy the contents, nano Docker file, double click or right click to paste, Control X and Y to save, enter. Now if we type ls, we should see both of those files in there. And finally, we're going to type docker space compose space up space -d. This is going to build and start our Docker container, which has Home Assistant in it. The very first time you run this command, it may take about 5 minutes. When it's done, you'll see a screen like this. Go ahead and minimize the remote desktop connection. Now that we're back to our regular PC, we're going to open up a web browser. We're going to type in the DNS name of our Raspberry Pi. For me, that was home.local, followed by a colon 8123. Now this is the default port that Home Assistant runs on. If you go ahead and hit enter, you should see a welcome dashboard like this. We're going to go ahead and create my smart home. You have to set up a user account, so quickly go ahead, set a username and password. Click on create account. Go ahead and set a home location. Go ahead and hit next. Next. Enable these if you want. By default, it should pick up majority of your IoT devices, things like smart TVs and smart lights. Go ahead and hit finish. This will bring you into a default dashboard view. Your overview one is the default view you get. Normally, all of your devices will show here. The map shows your general house location. Energy, this is really cool. If you have solar panels, you can monitor the energy usage and output of your home. General logs, this comes in handy, especially when you have automations set up later on. You can see what events have happened and what has triggered. History, pretty similar. Inbuilt media player, so you can go ahead and play music, which I won't do because I don't want to get copyright striked. And a basic to-do list. And finally, we have developer tools and settings. We're going to spend quite a bit of time in these sections. But first, we're going to set up something called HACS. This is something that makes it really easy for us to install custom themes on Home Assistant so we can easily make it look a lot nicer. There are some instructions we have to follow. Essentially, 3 easy steps. We're going to go back to our Raspberry Pi, open up a terminal session, type in docker space ps. If I just drag that open a bit more, we can see it has a name of Home Assistant there. We're going to copy this command, paste it here, and we're going to replace this bracket section with the name of our container, which is Home Assistant. This is going to open up a bash terminal session within our container. And we're simply going to run this command. This will download and install HACS for us. Once that's done, we can completely exit out of that. Go back to our Home Assistant setup, and we do need to give it a reboot. We can do that by clicking on Developer Tools, Restart Home Assistant. Wait a couple of minutes and that will come back online. We'll just refresh our page. Now, if we head over to Settings, Devices and Services, click the little plus button, and we want to search for HACS. Go ahead and click all of these options and hit Submit. Copy the link. Go ahead and open that link. If you have two-factor authentication, this is actually the 2FA from your mobile device, not the code it showed earlier. Hit Continue. This is where you want to enter that code. So we'll go ahead, copy this, and I got to manually type it out. Go ahead and hit Continue. This is going to give it read-only access to GitHub. Once that's done, go back to Home Assistant and click on Skip and Finish. HACS is now installed. On the left-hand side in your menu, you should see a new item called HACS. We're going to click on that. We're going to install 3 UI elements really quickly. The first is button card. Go ahead and click Download. Click Reload. Now it gives you a live preview of what you're actually downloading. We're downloading custom button cards that look like this. The next is Bubble Card, which lets us do cool things like this. And finally, we're going to download a theme. So if we type soft theme, this is the one we want. Go ahead and click Download. And we're also going to click on Card Mod, which this requires. So we're going to go back to HACS and search for card-mod. And we'll go ahead and install that one. That should automatically install and configure to use that new soft UI theme. All of a sudden, you can see our dashboard looks a lot nicer. The buttons are rounded. There's a slight glow behind everything. If that hasn't taken effect, click on your name in the bottom left-hand corner, scroll down to Theme, and make sure Soft UI is selected. Also, if you're wondering how to get your dark theme, you can simply click these toggles, which will switch back and forth between the different ones. Personally, I much prefer the dark theme. Now that we've installed HACS, made Home Assistant look really nice with our custom theme, it's time to set up some devices. We're going to connect these lights behind me on this pegboard into Home Assistant so that we can control it. If we head over to Settings, click on Devices and Services, we want to go ahead and add everything that has been discovered. I've done everything but my smart TV, which I'll do another time. To add the lights, we're going to simply click Add Integration. We're going to search for the brand of the lights. Click Submit. It's detected our device. We're going to go ahead and click Submit. Give it a name and set a location. For us, we're going to allocate it to the office because that's where we are. Skip and finish. I'm going to go back to Settings, Devices and Services, and I'm going to do the same thing, but for another set of lights that I have, which are by a different brand. Again, I'm going to hit Submit. Normally, your devices will automatically get detected and picked up within Home Assistant. Because these were previously paired to a different Home Assistant setup that I made a year ago, that's why they didn't automatically do it, and I had to repeat this process. But as we can see, it's actually pretty straightforward, really quick to add. Now if we head back over to the Overview tab, we can see we have that Office tab, and in here, if I click this button, it'll turn the lights off, and if I click it again, it'll turn it on. Not only that, we can actually go in and set different colors. We can adjust the brightness. We can have different effects. There's a bunch you can do. Now that we've set up some devices, we're going to go ahead and create our very first dashboard. One of the things I find extremely useful is to know the health of our server. That is, what is the CPU, RAM, disk usage, network speeds, temperature that it's currently running at. I want to know all of that information, so we're going to quickly build this dashboard out. If we head over to Settings, click on Dashboards, we want to go ahead and add a new dashboard. We'll go New Dashboard from scratch. Give it a title, so we're going to call it Server Health. Search for an icon. We'll go with this icon. Go ahead and click Create. We've now got a new dashboard on the left-hand side. We'll go ahead and click into this. In order to build this dashboard out, we are going to need something called System Monitor. Head on over to this website, and we're going to click this button, Add Integration to my Home Assistant. This will pop open a new page. You want to replace this URL with the correct one for your server. So for me, that is home.local. Hit save. Open link. OK. We now have System Monitor installed, but we have to enable the exact metrics that we want to use. If you go ahead and click on Entities, it'll give you a list of every possible metric you can use. By default, we can see they are all disabled. It's simply a matter of going into the exact metric you want and enabling it. Select the metric you want, go into Settings, make sure it's enabled, and click Update. That'll take about 30 seconds, and then you should start to see those metrics flow through. I'm going to repeat the process for every metric that I want. I'm going to enable memory usage and memory free. Now, if we head back over to Server Health, click the Edit button. we can start to add some of those metrics. We'll click this button to add a new section. And within that section, we have the ability to add what they call cards. There's a bunch of different ones you can select from. When it comes to metrics, I really like the sensor because it gives you the actual value plus a nice little graph in the background. Under the entity section, this is where we select the exact metric we want. So if you click on that and type in system, all of the system monitor metrics we enabled earlier will appear in this list. I'm going to go ahead and select temperature, give it a name, hit save. We're going to rinse and repeat for all the other metrics. The next thing we want to add to this dashboard is internet speeds. So we're going to head back to settings in a new tab, devices and services, and we're going to add a new integration for the speed test. Go ahead and click on entities. By default, this will run every single hour. I've got unlimited internet downloads. However, if that is a concern for you, you can go ahead and click these three dots, click on system options, disable this polling. This will stop it from executing once an hour. You then simply create your own custom automation to trigger it on a fixed schedule to something that is more appropriate for your use case. In our case, we're happy with the default 1 hour, so I'm going to leave it as is. We're going to head back to our dashboard. Now, if we click the plus button again, scroll down to sensor, we should be able to find speeds. Gonna go ahead and add the download, the upload, and our ping. Go ahead and click done. Congrats, we have now built our first dashboard. I'm going to click my fingers and show you the final product. This is what custom dashboards can look like when you invest enough time into it. If you want to copy this exact setup, if you click the edit dashboard icon, 3 dots, and go to raw configuration editor, you can actually copy and paste YAML code in here. So what I will do is I will leave my entire YAML code for this dashboard in the GitHub link down below, where you can simply copy and paste to get the exact same layout that you want without having to fiddle around. We have covered a lot so far. There are 3 sections left to go. Next, we are going to look at the mobile companion app. This is really cool because it lets you track your location, get push notifications, sync your health data like your steps and sleep, and so much more. If you head over to the Google Play or App Store, go ahead and search for Home Assistant. This is the app you want. Click on install. Once that's done, open up the app. Go ahead and click continue. It should automatically detect your server. Go ahead and click into it. Enter in your username and password that you've set up and log in. Give your device a name. So we're going to do Samsung S24. If you want to do any kind of location tracking, go ahead and enable that. I don't really make use of it yet, but there are some really cool use cases. Like you can have automation set up so that if you come home after work and you're around the corner, it'll automatically open your garage door. Just some really cool things like that which are possible. Go ahead and hit continue. First things first, we are going to quickly enable dark mode. Now that we've downloaded that app and connected it to Home Assistant, we can then go ahead and create our very first automation. And something that I find quite useful is to get a push notification when it's bin night. I am so forgetful, and more often than not, I generally forget to put the bins out. I'll be laying in bed, it'll be like midnight, and I'll go, oh crap, and quickly run out. Whereas now, we're going to configure an automation to completely avoid that scenario. If we head back to our computer, go to Settings, Automations and Scenes, click on Create Automation, and we want to create a new one from scratch. There are 3 sections. When something happens and certain conditions are met, then we want to do something. In our case, we're going to click on Time. So for me, I want the notification to come through at 5 o'clock at night once work is done. We'll chuck in 5 o'clock p.m. Right now, this will trigger every single night at 5 p.m. Obviously, we only want it to happen on midnight, so we're going to add the optional and if. So and condition, we're going to go time. We'll leave both of these blank, but we're going to select the day of the week our bins get collected. For us, that is Friday morning, so Thursday night we are going to get the notification. And finally, we want to do something. Click on Add Action, and we want to type in the device name of our mobile phone that we set up earlier. For me, that was the Samsung S24. Type a message, so let's go, don't forget to put the bins out. Give it a title, bins. Go ahead and hit save. Give the automation a name. Now, we can wait till Thursday 5 p.m. to see if it works, or we can click the 3 buttons in the top right-hand corner and click Run Actions. This will trigger the automation straight away, and as you... autofocus isn't going to quite work, but we got that push notification on our phone. Now, for the final and probably most important part of this video, we are going to talk backups. Like I said at the start, the entire reason why I am making this video is because when I migrated Home Assistant from my Raspberry Pi 4 to the new Pi 5, I completely stuffed it up because my backups weren't working correctly and I lost everything. We want to make sure we never get into that situation again. We're going to head over to Settings, System, Backups, and we want to click this Setup Backups button. I'm going to download this file which has the encryption key saved in it. Click Next. We're going to go with the recommended option. That's going to create our very first backup for us. We're going to keep it somewhere safe and also copy it to a USB drive just in case. You will need this encryption key if you ever need to restore from a backup. We can see that's kicked off our very first backup, and if we scroll down we can see we've got automatic backups enabled, where it'll take a backup every single day, keeping a maximum of 3 at any one time. This is good, but what if our SD card gets corrupted? Right now, we are saving these backups to our local disk. That means if our local disk gets corrupted, we lose everything. Now, Home Assistant out of the box only does local backups. You do have to sign up for their paid cloud subscription if you want to send this to the cloud. But I'm going to show you a free way we can actually offload this and save these backups to an additional external hard drive. Right now, I have an external hard drive plugged into our Raspberry Pi. If we go ahead and remote into that Raspberry Pi, open up our folders. If we go into our Home Assistant folder, Config, we now have a new folder called Backups. If we click into it, this is the folder location where all of our backups get saved to. What we are going to do is write a shell script which will grab this folder location and copy all of the contents to our external hard drive. That way, if our main drive fails, we've always got that additional backup. We're then going to take that shell script and we're going to schedule it to run on a fixed interval. We can do this via cron, which we will get into shortly. But let's start with that script. This is our backup script here. I will explain each line. And again, all source code is in the GitHub link down below. This line here grabs the current date. We then set the destination, that is, where do we want to actually copy the backup file to? We are going to have to change this line to match whatever your file path is. So if I head over to our remote session, we go to our expandable hard drive, Make sure that you have a backups folder created. And this is the file path that we want. For us, in our case, it matches what we have set. Sources, I've written this script in a way that you can back up multiple different folders. In our particular use case, we're going to change this to only back up Home Assistant. But if you had config for other services, for example here, Sonar, Radar, Homer, this is the way you do it. You simply just append it to the existing list. So if we head back over to Home, Home Assistant, and we copy this file location, this is the location we want backed up. I'm going to paste this in the top line here. And I don't actually have anything else running on this Raspberry Pi because we wiped it clean. So I'm just going to leave that single line in there. Now I have added comments for this particular line. You have to be extremely careful. This command here is going to remove everything within the folder you specified. All of your files, your folders, your subdirectories. So please, please, please make sure you have this destination variable set correctly. If you muck this up and instead of putting it in this particular backups location on your external hard drive, and you had it set to like your root/directory or documents, it's going to wipe everything. So please just make sure you do it correctly. And finally, it's going to compress that entire folder and all of its contents into a single compressed file for us. And it will append the current date the backup executed, so we know when it was taken. This little section here is pretty cool. Essentially, it will iterate through all of the lines in your sources to make sure that they all go into a single file. We're going to copy the contents of this file, head to our Raspberry Pi. I am going to create a new folder called Backups. I'm going to call it backup script.sh. We're going to open up a text editor and paste the contents of the file in there. Go ahead and save the file, exit out of it. We're going to go ahead and manually run that to make sure it executes successfully. Open up a command prompt, go to our backups location. Now, this is a backup script, so we want to set it to be executable. So we're going to do chmod +x and our backup script. Now, if we do ls, we can see that is green, which means we can execute it. So if we do /backup script, right, I made a typo. Right, when I hit Control Save, I accidentally put an S on the end of the file. Let's go ahead and fix that up. So we'll save it, and we're going to run the script again. We're going to run it again with sudo permissions. And that should have worked. Let's go ahead and verify that. If we head over to our expansion, backups, we now have that file in there. I'm going to go ahead and double click into it, and we should see Home Assistant with everything set. So we've got our Docker Compose file, our Docker file, and our config folder with everything in it. We're going to quickly verify the cleanup process works. So I'm going to create a bunch of just gibberish files and folders. Now, if we execute this script again, we should see it automatically delete everything and recreate just this file. There you go. As expected, we've got just a single compressed file with our backup in it. This cleanup process is extremely important because obviously you don't want to just take backups and continually take up all of your storage space. Now that we've proven our backup script works, we're going to use cron to schedule this. Cron is an inbuilt Linux feature where you can use it to automatically schedule certain tasks and scripts to execute. We're going to head back to our command prompt. Because we want this to run as the root user, I'm going to type sudo crontab-e. You should see a screen like this. Now, if you don't, and you see something slightly different that gives you an option between 1, 2, and 3, I simply closed the terminal session, opened it up again, ran the exact same command, and then this popped up. I'm guessing it defaulted to whatever the default option is. I assume number 1. I can't get back to that previous screen now to verify, so we're just going to keep pushing forward. We're going to scroll down to the bottom of the file. The first thing we need to do is set a scheduled expression. This is kind of like a time code of when do you want things to execute. A great website to help you out is crontab.guru, where it helps you with the exact syntax. So for us, we want at 3 o'clock every single morning to execute our script. So this is what we want, 03 star star star. We're going to copy this, head back to our file. Now we want space. We want to copy the file path of our backup script. So if we head over to it and go copy path, we will paste that in there. Space. You want these 2 forward lines, like these dashes, space. And we are going to paste this in here. Go ahead and replace this with a file path where you want to store the logs. For me, I'm happy to keep that in the same backups location where our script is. Put a slash. Okay. Now we're going to hit Control X to exit and hit Y to save. Again, all of the source code is going to be in GitHub for you guys in the description down below. When it comes to cron, you can't actually execute it manually. So what I am going to do is edit it one more time, and we're going to change that fixed schedule. Instead of running at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to have it execute every single minute, just to verify that things are working as we expect. To run every single minute, it is literally 5 stars in a row. So star, space, star, space. That should execute once every single minute. We will save. And now we're going to wait a minute. What we should see is a log file pop up here. We really should modify our script to output a success message instead of this, but this video is already long enough. There's no errors. If we head over to our hard drive, we should be able to see, yep, it has taken it successfully. If I have a look at its information, we can see, yes, it was last modified right now. We will go into it and just quickly verify it's done it correctly. Cool, I am happy with that. We're going to just put our cron job back to what it was. So instead of every minute, we want it every day at 3 o'clock in the morning. Exit the file and save. Cool. We now have backups occurring every single day, both within Home Assistant, but also being offloaded to our external hard drive so that we'll never lose our data, unless our entire house burns down, but then we've got bigger issues than our Home Assistant setup. Now, I know this video was very long, but super in depth, we have covered a lot of ground. From your initial setup, your dashboards, your automations, your backups, everything. I hope you guys found this video incredibly useful. If you have any questions or there are any specific topics you'd like me to deep dive when it comes to Home Assistant, let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.